I wouldn't have it any other way. I love being able to make people smile and cheer, over that. But I also am going to boldly go to new creation. I was talking about the genie on Aladdin and what I could relate to, and the genie wears shackles. Right, so the genie is essentially a slave to his powers. Yeah. I realized that through my rise as a movie star, I sort of narrowed the things that I would allow myself to do. I became so popular as a movie star, and there were only certain behaviors that were acceptable from Will Smith.
Right.
So I sort of set myself free and allowed myself to be able to do all the things that I want to do. And for my 50th birthday, I decided I'm not going to be trapped by the persona that I've created anymore. When I'm looking at something, I'm always trying to find why that's funny. And, it's been really, really helpful in this experience and even just this point in my life. Remember to laugh, and spend time with people that make you laugh. For me, laughing is the elixir, and that was another thing that my father taught me. He was joking all the way up to the end. Like laughing, you have to be able to laugh at everything.
Life is a perplexing situation, and you're never gonna get around being stuck in the duality. You have to elevate above the whole thing. That's what life is. You are born into a perpetual, perplexing situation. It's that really bizarre psychological leap, and I'm always looking for that in my characters. What's the bizarre psychological leap they make based on some trauma? I always have a hard time with characters whose basic mindset, their basic life perspective is that far different from mine. I start with the basic three questions. What does he want? Why does he want it? And what's going to happen if he doesn't get it? I start to try to figure out what he wants. Like for me, desire is right at the center. Like what is the thing that the character can't live without? It's been such a powerful inner process of development to explore acting in conjunction with spirituality and supreme absolute truth, to explore that as my job is fantastic. When I play a character who believes something that I don't believe, I have to learn how to feel something that's in opposition to my truth, which is a spectacular skill set. There's a certain naivete to youth that is powerful, right? When you don't know something, like not knowing can be a real power because you're aggressive, So I feel like I would ask my young self for advice. If there was one concept that I would suggest to people to take a daily confrontation with, is fear. The problem with fear is that it lies. I'm telling you, the confrontation with fear is an absolute magical way of facing the things we have to do in this life. Forget security, live for experience.
All right.
God placed the best things in life on the other side of terror. On the other side of your maximum fear are all of the best things in life. From sitting on this side of the experiences that I've shared, there's no such thing as a bad experience, right? There's experiences you don't like.
And they hurt.
Right? But to define something as a bad experience, for me, has not been true. Loss is bound to joy. like pain and suffering are bound to joy. The being able to survive something is actually a big part of being able to find that next wave of joy. You appreciate smaller things.
There's always the other side of the coin, and in my experience, I've cultivated only positive things out of the most negative experiences of my life. As I settled down and, came into a deeper understanding of my power and my desires in the world, it was easier to connect to people in a loving way.
It can potentially be helpful and help someone else. So it was powerful to be cleansed of the foolishness of the game of numbers and awards and all of that type of stuff. I have a mission statement. So every year for probably the past 10 years, I've worked out a mission statement for myself. And for the last few years, the mission statement has stayed the same. And it's been improve lives.
It's the only thing to do, right? So, and that's to learn, right? We have to free ourselves from the darkness of our own ignorance.
And then I realized that the way to improve lives is to continually improve yourself, right? So with that, every morning when I get out of the bed, I haven't fixed everything in the world yet, so there's always something to do. I do want to aggressively go forward and do new things and create and hopefully be able to stumble upon a new heyday. I'm really driven by continually trying to elevate my mind and elevate my spirit and care for my body and to be able to love as many people as effectively as possible with this mystery of life that I've been given.
One of the things that I learned is that if I feel bad, if I'm unhappy, if I'm upset, if I'm disrupted or disturbed, the only thing that could do that is my ignorance. I feel stuck in a perplexing situation with people I love where there's not clean answers, right? That's really where I am in my life right now. I want to show what it looks like to be loving and kind and giving and forgiving. I always knew that was my example, and I think that's the critical part. We need an example. Somebody has to be an example. It opens up entirely new avenues of connection and compromise and solutions that you can create with a person. Like if you want to fight, we can fight. I know how to fight, but how can that be the right thing, I think that is a part of my DNA, part of it from difficult aspects of my childhood. I grew up with violence in my home. You are always bringing poison to the party. And when you recognize that in any difficulty you're having with any human being, you brought poison to the party, the only answer is loving kindness. And most of us don't want to hear that. It's like, I'll take my chances with revenge. So the problem is that when you seek revenge, you destroy yourself. And that's the paradoxical conflict that we all live in. There's always an aspect of us that when we feel unloved, you know, in any capacity, in any relationship, when we feel unloved, when we feel mistreated, when we feel somehow disrespected, and we haven't done anything to deserve that kind of treatment, it's really hard for the ego to not click into revenge. I can't do loving kindness. And for me, I had such a beautiful example of loving kindness in my grandmother when I was growing up. I always knew I wanted to be that. The gift of structure and the gift of breaking tasks down. You know, you set the goal, but the breaking the tasks down into smaller, manageable pieces was a thing that I came out of my childhood with. And I just became really hypersensitive to emotional movement in a room as a defense mechanism. It was military-minded. You know, we're gonna get that flag to the top of that hill. I had equated winning with happiness, right? It's like, we're winning, what is y'all problem? And then after I got the flag to the hill a couple of times, it kept getting the flag to the hill, and realized that you don't feel good, and you've scorched earth, you know. You, and you're like, nobody's really happy. And I was like, how could I be the biggest movie star in the world, be the best at all of this, and how you not love me? Right? And, you know, how was my family miserable? There's a poisonous edge to that kind of discipline. And I've been to the edge of that kind of material world discipline in my mind. And I can tell you, you can have a whole lot of stuff and be miserable out there. But it's really hard to get people to let go of the attack and defend achievement mindset and trust the care and concern for your fellow humans as a way of creating higher production. When you try to use the outcome as a measure of the quality of your own being, that is the kiss of death. You can do everything right and it still go wrong in terms of outcome. And you can do everything wrong and it still goes right
in the outcome.
It doesn't mean don't do anything. Let go and let God doesn't mean don't do anything. It means do your divine duty, whatever that may be. You know, sometimes we get stuck in these situations where we're seeking the approval of someone for our self-esteem.
Yes.
Self-esteem is about yourself. The greatest tragedy is when you look in a broken mirror and you're gonna change your face to try to look good in a broken mirror. I am certain and I am committed to being who I am and how I wanna be without a craving for someone's approval, right? Because I know their approval doesn't have anything to do with me.